Is it weird that these two guys match and we match?
Oh yeah, well, it's Friday.
You are live with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here in studio. I've got John Biehler with me today. And we've got a super interesting show. We have an immigration lawyer coming up on our next segment. His name is Richard Kurland. Talk about the upcoming Huawei hearing happening here in Vancouver on Monday and what it all means from a geopolitical sense and an immigration sense as well. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And it's actually echoes a lot of stuff that happened back in the 90s as well when the US and China had a little trade war. And so we're going to make all those dots connect. We will also be talking about a really cool concert technology called PEEX. If you like going to concerts, but sometimes wish that you could have more control over certain elements of the music, whether that you want maybe the voice or vocals louder or maybe the guitar is lower, well, there's a system now that will let you do that. And we'll talk all about that as well. And John, you just got a new iPhone 11 Pro. And we'll talk about that experience because I thought it was pretty interesting. But let's talk about some of the news right now. This one was interesting, John. Is it 100,000 fake artificial intelligence photos, headshots put onto stock photo companies?
So basically, a large volume of computer-generated people, their photographs, their headshots,
Yes.
have been released into the world. This is the kind of thing that a lot of companies and a lot of people would buy from a stock photography site.
Yes.
No longer necessary
No.
because these are free.
That's interesting. And you've got to check these out online because they actually look very, very real.
Yeah.
In a scary way.
Well, the interesting part though is whenever you have stock photography models, you have to get releases and all this other types of sort of legal stuff that you have to sort out. You don't have to do that anymore. Also, you're not having a risk of someone being recognized. You know, when you use that stock photo to show like a burglar or something like that, that person's not going to get, called on by their friends like, hey, it's the burglar. These are all fake people. These aren't real people. They're composites of hundreds of thousands of people. And it's really interesting how lifelike these look.
I was quite amazed.
Yeah.
But if you get a chance, you've got to Google that because it is super interesting. I want to tell you a quick story, John. I briefly talked about this before the program, but as we've told many times here, I bought a new Tesla. And, just learning all the ropes about having an electric vehicle and the charging. I still haven't got like one of the big chargers in my home. So I'm basically using the little mobile charger that came with the Tesla that you can plug into a regular wall socket.
Right.
And so I don't park my Tesla in my garage because I just have a lot of crap in there. So I have to park it outside of the garage. And obviously I have to have the power cable. I plug it into the garage and I run it underneath the garage door. And then that way I plug the little thing into my Tesla.
Right. So it kind of looks like the same kind of thing you'd have like at a gas station. Like it's this big plug. It's not like just a small little extension cord. It's still a big kind of gun, gas pumpy kind of thing that you have to attach to your vehicle.
Yeah. So I went away on a trip a couple of weeks ago and I had my son drive us to the airport in my Tesla. And as I was unplugging my Tesla, I remember looking down at the block, like the main part of it. It's like outside of the garage. And I thought, I wonder if it's safe leaving this out here because...
Is it branded?
Yeah, Tesla.
Like a big T on it?
Big T on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought, what if someone like just unplugs it from the cord and steals it? And no word of a lie, my son drops us off at the airport, gets home, it's gone. Some jerk came into my driveway and stole my charger. And you know what? They're not cheap, John.
No.
They're several $100s.
It's a Tesla product.
It's a Tesla product. So if you do have an electric car and you charge it outside, and driving in my neighborhood, there's actually a lot of Teslas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of them are being charged outside. Make sure that you take that little charging thing inside or put it in your trunk when you're not using it.
Don't be like Mike.
Don't be stupid like me. So I had to buy a new one. And I thought, I don't have the money for a Tesla one right now. So I found one on Amazon, it's called Simply Work, and $200. It's not bad.
Hopefully it doesn't catch on fire.
No, I hope not. It got it got 4.5 stars out of 5. But I'm actually quite pleased with it because I'll tell you something. Plugging it into your regular wall outlet, it's not the fastest charge. It's the slowest charge you can get. With my Tesla charger, when I did that, I was getting about 8 kilometers of charge per hour.
Right.
With this new one, 10. So it worked out better for me.
We'll just have to make sure your house doesn't burn down.
Hopefully the house doesn't burn down, and hopefully I remember to keep unplugging it and putting it in my trunk when I'm not using it. Let's look at some other news. If you are an Amazon Alexa user, you've got one of their speakers, their Echo speakers, you can finally use Apple Music.
Yes. Everyone's starting to get along.
Yes. Well, everyone wants to make money.
Right.
So I think that's a great thing. I've got a few Amazon Alexa devices in my home. My Sonos, I've got powered by Alexa as well. So being able to use Apple Music is fantastic.
Just being able to have any option, you're not sort of locked out by these walled gardens anymore on any device that you want to use is great.
It's weird. I'm doing the show right now, and as we're talking about Alexa, I get an email from them.
They are always listening.
Are they? Are they? Okay, we have a really cool show, and I want you to stay tuned because we're going to be talking about a few things. John bought a new iPhone Pro 11, and we're going to talk about his experience. It was kind of fun. And we'll also be talking about a new concert experience for the Elton John concert coming up. It's actually 3 of them. I did not know he was in town, number one. And he's here for 3 nights. So Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday night. If you want to have complete control of the actual audio, like everything from the guitars, the keyboard to the vocals, there's a new technology called PEEX, spelled P-E-E-X, and it'll be available at the venue for you to rent and try out. We're going to have their chief technology officer on the show to talk all about it.
Very cool.
I'm excited to actually try this because I'm going to go and try it. You're listening to Get Connected here on the Chorus Radio Network. Back after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here in studio. I've got an interesting guest here with me today. We're going to talk about Huawei. His name is Richard Kurland. He is an immigration lawyer and a policy analyst with a lot of knowledge about China and politics. And I wanted to have him on the program to talk about the upcoming trial for the or hearing for the Huawei CFO that is cooling her heels here in Vancouver. Thanks for joining us, Richard.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor.
Have we seen this before? I don't even know where to begin here. The CFO arrested here in Vancouver on behalf of the Americans. Big trade disputes going on. Is history repeating itself? Is this something we saw back in the 90s?
Well, yeah. In the 90s, unearthed was a then classified secret memo from our Canadian embassy in Beijing that recounted the U.S.-China trade dispute negotiations, a U.S. sanctions hit list, a China sanctions hit list, plus military arms sales to Taiwan. The difference is that memo is dated October 1992. And so we have the same set of circumstances, the same soup today. So past is present. We managed to get through it before. We'll manage to get through it again. If you fast forward to today, what's different with Huawei CFO, Ms. Meng, being subject to, millionaire detention lifestyle, is the trade negotiation between China and the United States. President Trump directly implicated himself into the mix, suggesting that if China gives a bid on trade negotiations, well, maybe the United States can have another look at the Huawei extradition case. That's not kosher.
So it is political in your your eyes.
It is almost akin to an abusive process. You don't become a trade hostage maintained even in a millionaire lifestyle in Canada. Angered, naturally, would be China. Political capital would be gained by Canada, but will the U.S. pay the bill eventually? Who knows?
I don't think Trump's paying any bills.
There we go.
From what I understand.
And so what's happening next? This coming week, we're going to see the continuation of the extradition matter. We're going to see Defense Counsel seek the discovery of additional information and documents. January is when the fun begins. That's when we get to the meat and potatoes. We get to the hearing of the extradition case. This week is more technical. We may be in for a couple surprises, though.
What do you think?
Well, I know that in my cases, when my clients are detained, arrested by CBSA, Canada Border Services Agency, there is an audio-visual recording made of the multi-hour interrogation. Where's the tape now? All that we've seen released is the airport tape. Secondary examination, we see a bevy of officers floating around Ms. Meng during a customs inspection. But where's the real nitty-gritty? The worst case for Canada in terms of an economic outcome is what I'm calling the Chief Dan George moment. That's when, for example, in 25 seconds of that interview, one lone tear falls down the cheek of the Huawei CFO. That's going to go viral in China. China loses face. China must retaliate against Canada for the continued detention of this person. I don't see a good outcome for anyone concerned.
Haven't they already retaliated? They've got a couple Canadians they've detained.
Yeah. So that continued detention truly is at the heart of this. That's unacceptable. I'm sure that this is receiving the highest priority from Global Affairs and the Government of Canada, election or no election. But I think we ain't seen nothing yet. They're going to have to slam dunk some additional serious consequences that will have bite.
Why do you think Canada did this in the first place? Like, was there political pressure from the U.S. to arrest her?
Well, now we're going into the realm of speculation, and normally the Americans would give a heads up to Canada for the anticipated arrival of the person concerned at Vancouver International, but this is a high-profile matter, and the normal rules of the game require CBSA to notify the Prime Minister's office for the thumbs up, thumbs down. Don't forget, this was during the 1 year pre-election. I am speculating, but imagine this. The PMO handlers would say, goodness gracious, we're going to have a dispute between Washington and Beijing. We can position our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, as a statesman, globally negotiating peace between two of the largest economies on the planet, nightly broadcasts, political capital up the yin-yang, and show me the political opposition who can naysay what our Prime Minister will be doing on the global stage. So thumbs up to the arrest. I don't think they had a clue who was being arrested.
Really?
They did not anticipate the connections between that person and the leadership of the government of China. I think it was a gross miscalculation. I'm also, concerned that the SNC Lavalin disclosure, cabinet disclosure for our then Justice Minister, Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould, was extended only as far back as SNC. It wasn't extended to cover the extradition case in Huawei. Why not? I suspect there's more to tell. And if Jody were given permission to disclose, as she's been given permission to disclose in SNC, we'd have another chapter in that new book of hers.
So many things to unravel here. Big criticism of Huawei from many people, governments, especially Trump and the U.S., that Huawei is basically an arm of the Chinese government.
It is. But in fairness, you have to look at the other side. Because of legislation in the United States, like the Patriot Act, so's Google, so's Apple, so's any database on American soil. It's subject to American intelligence legally, legitimately peeking under the hood and gathering your personal information. So
the same laws that China would have for their companies to disclose information, the Americans have that as well.
And it's a question of trust and faith.
Yeah.
And it comes down to money. I mean, will the Americans milk those communication systems to better their position in global trade? China would, but
Yes.
would the U.S. do it? And if so, who? When you have, at the highest level in China, the amalgamation of political interests and economic interests, that's one scenario. Can the same be said on the American side? I'm not sure.
How do you think this is all going to play out? I mean,
Well,
January's a long ways away still.
It is. I have $20 writing on this.
$20.
$20 says that if there's a bad news day during the last 10 days of the election campaign,
Yeah.
this is a game-changing card. And all the Prime Minister's office needs to do is say extradition canceled, channel changed. Bad hair day or no bad hair day for the Prime Minister.
But
So
that would piss
if-
off the Americans, though.
Exactly. A favorable electoral response from Canada
Yeah.
prior to voting. But that, again, is speculation. How I really think it'll end, I suspect the case has developed a compelling argument for breach of charter rights, for abuse of process, and we'll let the judicial process make that final determination. I don't think Ms. Meng's going to be in Canada for years to come, as some say.
You think it'll get rectified sooner than later?
That's what I anticipate. That's what I hope.
Because it's kind of similar situation to back in the 90s when there was some tension there.
Exactly. I think the wild card was President Trump. I've never seen a human trade hostage before mixed into the soup between U.S.-China trade negotiations. It's unprecedented.
We're talking with Richard Kurland. He is an immigration lawyer and policy analyst. I want to thank you for joining us on the program today. I mean, we could talk for hours about this, but we'll see what happens coming up Monday, I guess, and where that all goes.
I think everything's going to get connected.
Thanks. When we come back from the break, we've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to be talking about a cool new technology for concert goers, especially if you're going to be attending the Elton John concert in Vancouver. You're listening to Get Connected here on the Chorus Radio Network. Back after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike and John here in studio. Coming up, we're going to be talking about taking your concert experience to the next level, being able to control the actual sound and the music yourself. Elton John playing in Vancouver here tonight, Sunday and Tuesday. And we've got some interesting stuff to tell you how you can make that all happen. Let's talk about iPhone 11. Just came out Friday. They've got a couple different versions, the iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro in two different sizes. You went down to the Apple Store and got one.
I did. I pre-ordered it.
Yes.
A week ago-ish.
Online?
Online, yeah.
Okay.
Just using the phone, the Apple Store app, and they set up you get to pick your reservation time. You show up, somebody greets you, takes you in, gets you a spot on their little counters. What I did this time differently than I previously have done is normally I would sell my old iPhone after I get the new one.
Yes.
Or pass it on to a family member or a friend or something like that. Apple now has trade-ins.
Okay.
And they're fairly generous.
Yeah.
As long as your device isn't, screen smashed and the camera still works, that kind of thing. So you can look up on apple.ca what the trade-in value of your older phone is. I had an iPhone 10, 256 gig, and I was offered $490 on paper for my device without them seeing it.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, this would be a cool experience. I could probably sell it for a little bit more, but right now Craigslist is flooded with people upgrading.
With iPhone 10s.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're competing with everybody else and it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
So the hassle factor of Craigslist as well, you got to find a safe place to do the exchange.
Yeah.
No one likes doing that.
No.
So I thought, let's do the trade-in, save a little bit of hassle, not get quite as much money back, but considering I paid $1,600 for that iPhone 10,
Yes.
right, a couple years ago.
Yep.
But it is a 2-year-old device.
Yeah.
Still great condition. So I went in and I was really surprised how painless the trade-in process was. Because, first of all, you don't need the packaging. You don't need your case. You don't need your cables, your headphones. You just need the phone.
Okay.
So that
They
makes
don't care about any of the other stuff.
They're going to just throw it away if you do bring it in.
Okay.
Or they'll
recycle it. Yes.
landfill, recycle, whatever. I actually heard that ahead of time, so I knew I didn't have to bring anything. But what you do want to do, though, before you do the trade-in process, is you want to turn off Find My iPhone and back up your phone. I was still using it right up until the appointment, but I had already downloaded all my photos, my iCloud backups, all that kind of stuff. So I was ready to swap phones and move forward. I get there, I give them my phone, and she had a little terminal with a bunch of questions that she had to sort of verify on my phone. Check the screen for scratches, check the ports were clean, not damaged, check that the camera worked. And that was it.
And you got $490?
$490.
Huh.
Pretty good. And so the weird thing was, though, they actually give you a physical gift card.
Okay.
That they scan, and then you can use that to apply towards your purchase of your replacement phone.
What if you just ran away with that gift card?
You could just do that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could just bring in your phone?
Yeah, you don't have to buy a new phone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, right now on Craigslist, sort of the low end of the spectrum is between $600 and $700. So you're not really saving that much.
Yeah, maybe.
Or gaining much.
Maybe $100.
Maybe $100 if you're lucky, especially with such a dense marketplace right now.
Yeah.
Especially after a new iPhone launch. So I thought that was great.
I think Graham in the office did that as well.
Yeah. So it was a very painless experience. Highly recommend it. They'll help you, reset your phone, take out the SIM card, migrate to the new phone, and you can even just stay in the store and download all your stuff from iCloud.
I wonder what they do with the old ones.
I think they probably sell them through distributors somewhere else. Because it's still a very good phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do tests on the battery or if they just sort of pass it forward as is.
Yeah.
But presumably they would also repack it with, a fresh set of headphones and a charge block and cable.
And so what do you think of the phone?
It's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which color did you get?
Midnight green.
Of course.
Yeah. And I got the pine green case.
Oh, look at that.
Because I found, I wanted the clear case to show off the pine or the emerald. The midnight green.
The midnight green,
I have to get it right. But I found that the clear case was just a little too slippery. And I don't want to drop my expensive device.
No. We're going to have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a technology called PEEX, P-E-E-X. Don't know how to spell anymore. Lets you control the concert experience. And it'll be used tonight, Sunday and Tuesday at the Elton John concert. He's been a supporter of this for a few years now. You're listening to Get Connected here on the Chorus Radio Network. Back after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John Biehler. I want to talk about something cool now as far as technology and music. There's an upcoming Elton John concert or concerts happening here in Vancouver Saturday night. That's tonight, Sunday, and Tuesday. Well, you can make that experience even more personalized. We're going to be talking about a technology called PEEX, spelled P-E-E-X. On the line, we've got one of the co-founders and their chief technical officer. His name is Graham Tull. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
I want to explain to the listeners and how this all works, and you're probably the best person to explain this to because you actually made it. What is this? What is this all about?
Well, the basic concept comes from my original thinking that wouldn't it be great fun to be able to really get that sort of personalized focus on certain players on stage, certain elements of any given song or any given part of the show. And actually, I mean, this is going to sound like I'm really playing to the Canadian audience, but my favorite band, I have to think not too hard, is Rush. Great musicians, great players, and I saw them live many times. I play guitar myself, so my original hopes in life were perhaps to be a guitar player in a rock band and do something not dissimilar. But a little thing called talent and timing and various other things got in the way. So, but for me, that connection between a fan and the band on stage is something really quite special. It's all the reasons in the world to go and see your favorite artist live. There's nothing quite like it. But there are occasions where you're compromised with the sound you can receive. And PEEX and the ideas behind it were really to get that problem neutralized. And, we've got great technology and great engineers running live shows these days, and there's no doubt about it. But the rooms that they have to set up in, and sometimes outdoors, they don't always lend themselves to the best acoustics. That's not a slight against anyone, because I know everybody's got, skin in the game, and sometimes gets a little bit worried that what PEEX is a solution to the problems of people. It's absolutely not that. It's a solution for people. So the better the sound engineers, even the better the acoustics in the venue, it makes really little difference, because the physics are the physics, and sound has, rather like a piece of string or a cable, a nasty habit of turning itself into knots when you turn your back on it for 2 seconds. So depending on where you're sat, you're not guaranteed to get the clarity and the detail that is coming directly from stage. So PEEX gives a solution to that by producing a transmission from audio directly sourced from the stage. So every instrument, every channel, we mix into, in this instance for Elton, 5 stems. The first of which has Elton, his piano, and some vocals, backing vocals on it. And then we got Davy Johnson on guitar on the second channel. Actually, I'm not sure it will come across on the screen too well, but if I hold that up, you get a sort of an approximation of the mixer that the users have available to them. And each of those sliders will give you the ability to set a relative volume for each of those instruments.
So the user's actually wearing a pair of headphones plugged into a device.
Correct, and they're designed by us specifically to allow maximum ambient sounding. We don't want the fan going to the show feeling isolated from the room. We don't want them feeling isolated from the crowd or all that energy, which is, as I said, one of the life-affirming reasons for live music, in my opinion, at least. So the earpieces we've designed let in a significant amount of the room sound. Now that creates a unique problem which we had to address very early on. I'm sure a few of your listeners will have remembered a bit of high school physics, but the speed of sound and the speed of light are orders of magnitude in difference. So if you're sat, let's say, 100 feet from the sound source, the PA, the speaker stacks that you see hanging from the lighting rigs, etc., very approximately, the sound will take about 100 milliseconds to travel from the cone of the speaker to your ears at 100-foot distance. Our system with a radio broadcast is going to deliver that same digital quality audio to your receiver and ultimately to your ears at the speed of light. So we have to delay the replay or the playback of the digital signal to align and synchronize perfectly with the sound coming from the PA. So put that into a little bit more visual terms. If you imagine standing at your 100-foot distance from the stage and watching the snare drum being hit by the drummer, if we released the digital audio through PEEX immediately, you'd hear that drum beat, and then 100 milliseconds later, you'd hear exactly the same drum beat a second time. Translate that to the whole audio spectrum of all of the instruments, all of the sounds, vocals, etc. And if we didn't do something about that, you'd end up with a chaotic sound rather than a clear, highly improved sound. So we have a patented technology where we analyze the audio before it even reaches the PA, and the data about that goes with the audio channels to the user's PEEX receiver. And then we do a complicated signal processing technique, which allows us to synchronize those two sources perfectly. The net effect of that is you can walk freely from the front of the room to the back and back again, and the system will keep your perfect synchronization with the sound source. So it's a beautifully aligned signal, and that then brings all of this digital clarity as a natural augmentation or overlay on top of that energetic, visceral energy in the room sound.
So it's magic.
That's the short answer. I have to say, it's easy to waffle on about it, which I probably just did. But the truth of it is we tend to forget the fact that the capability exists, because after a while you take it for granted that wherever you're walking, you're going to get a perfect sound. And it's only sometimes if you're, able to hear what the issue is without that solution that you realise just how awful it would be without. And I think doubly so if you had to rely on an isolating system. I mean, I guess you guys are using close-cut earphones there. If you imagine wearing those at a concert, you really would feel like you were in, a box of your own, listening to the audio coming through a radio, station distant from the live event. So we didn't want that to be a feature of the system, which happily we've overcome.
So how do the listeners at home, if they're going to the Elton John concert one of these 3 days, how do they participate in this? What do they have to do?
It's pretty easy, actually. They can get onto our website, either PEEX.live, or actually there's a sub-site called Rent, rent.peeks.live. As you mentioned earlier, PEEX is PEEX. And then they'll be able to find the show, including tomorrow's show at the Rogers Arena. And you can pre-order the PEEX receiver. It's a rental. It's $20 plus tax. If they use the Elton as a code, not a very secret code, but if they put in Elton in the code panel, they'll get 20% off that rental. So that, I think, comes down to whatever, $16 plus sales tax.
And so they get the little unit, they get the headphones with it, but they do have to have a smartphone to make it all work, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So the app is free. It's PEEX Live on both the Apple App Store and the Google App Store. You can download that. Probably best to do it in advance. You're never too sure what the Wi-Fi availability is going to be like, at the venue. It's a free app. They can download that. They'll also get an order acknowledgement, which they bring to the PEEX booth, which will be set up on one of the major concourses in the arena, where they get their order fulfilled. So they, as you said, they get the PEEX receiver. It comes with a lanyard into which the headphones are integrated, so that you just wear comfortably around your neck. The headphones just drop to your shoulders, so you've not got a tangle of cables. You can pop them in, take them out, use them as often or as little as you want. Play with the mix or set the mix level and just have a reinforcement of the PA. There's no puritanical approach to it. It's really for the user to have a bit of fun with it, but also if they really need it, to improve the sound to their own preference.
Well, I'm excited to try this out. I always sometimes have an issue in concerts, just depending where I'm sitting. The vocals aren't always as clear for me. So now I can actually adjust the levels, whether I want better, like higher vocals or, higher guitar. It's all my choice now, which is cool.
I think it'd also be kind of fun to sort of experiment and play with hearing the different instruments in isolation too.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Graham, I want to thank you so much. We're out of time here. Again, peeks.live is where they can go. Is that correct?
There's peeks.live, and you can click through from there to the actual ordering site, which is rent.peeks.live.
And if you mention the code Elton, you get 20% off. Thanks, Elton John. Yeah. He's such a generous guy.
Well, what can I say?
That was Graham Tull from PEEX. If you're going to the Elton John concert, you got to check their website out if you want to take that concert experience to the next level. When we come back from the break, it's Amazon Skills time. We've got a cool one for all the Friends fans out there. Stay tuned. You are back with Get Connected. Mike and John here. We've got time for our Amazon Alexa skill of the week. And if you're a Friends fan, the TV show, this one's for you.
Yes, it's the 25th anniversary of Friends. So I thought, let's have an Alexa skill.
Sorry, 25th?
25th.
Oh my God, I'm feeling super old. Okay, keep going.
So basically, you just need to say, Alexa, start Friends trivia, and she will start to quiz you on your knowledge of the TV show.
I can't remember anything because it was 25 years ago.
Well, some people have been binging the crap out of the show.
My kids watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was 25 years. So what do you have to say to Alexa again?
Alexa, start Friends trivia.
And we've just set off everyone's speaker.
We did.
Yeah, sorry. But it's free.
Should we start clapping now?
No, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that out.
Yeah.
I don't know how well my memory is.
I think we were on a break is probably the only thing I can remember.
Yes.
It's a paste.
That's all the time we have left for Get Connected. Don't forget to tune in to the App Show every Sunday here on Global News Radio, CKNW 980 from 10 to 11. It's also across the Chorus Radio Network as well. And we also have our podcasts and video podcasts. If you go to our website, getconnectedmedia.com, you can check us out on video.
We're wearing the same outfit today.
We look groovy. This is Mike and John. I want to thank Stephen as well for helping put this all together. See you again next time.